Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Waiting Room. This is a show that challenges you to thrive, not just survive in every area of your life. This is your host, Ruem, and in this podcast, I'll be talking about the lessons we learn from waiting in every season of life. How we wait is more important than the wait itself, so waiting well is what matters. In this episode, I will be talking about what dating isn't. This is part 6 of the dating series I have been working on. So if you have missed the first 5 episodes, pause right here, go back and listen to catch up. This series was inspired by a book I recently read called Intentional Relationships, written by Chris Suatocho and Dan Hoke. So the link is in the description, and it brings a countercultural approach to friendships and dating and engagement as we know it. So it's very refreshing because a lot of what I read in the book are ideas and thoughts that I always had and felt, but it's not a popular opinion. They're not popular opinions. So it's always encouraging to come across someone who has the same viewpoint. So in the earlier episodes, I introduced the book and intentional relationships, and they mention that the Western or the modern approach to dating is all wrong. No thanks to Hollywood, of course. So basically, we are conditioned or taught to go from strangers to acquaintances to dating to friendships, and then a lot of times at least to break up, or that could result to marriage and then later on divorce. So we are taught to become emotionally and psychologically involved with pretty much a stranger before getting to know them. And then we wonder why things don't work out once we see their true colors. This cycle doesn't work because intimacy and time investment in the relationship are high before a true friendship develops. So if the friendship doesn't work, the pain is difficult because the loss of intimacy, the time that was invested. Another problem with dating someone you've just met simply based on attraction is that you don't know much about their character, their personality, their passions, their life goals, their convictions. You get too close too soon, especially emotionally. This leads to making decisions about that person, such as dating them or marrying them, without information to know if it would work out, if you two would make a good match. And when it doesn't work out, you're left with discouragement and disillusionment. So the correct model for dating should be you go from strangers to acquaintances to friendship, and then intentional friendship to dating and engagement and marriage. So in an intentional friendship, you get to know that person as a friend, very neutral, no expectations. You see how they spend their time, their money, how they treat others, what their priorities are, their church attendance, whether they study their Bible, how they handle conflict. And it's been said before that it's great to marry your best friend because you have that foundation of that relationship. So in summary, dating with a purpose works so much better when you have an intentional friendship first. And the nice thing about an intentional friendship, there's no pressure. You can decide to stay friends, or you can decide to move on to dating. So the last few episodes, I have been talking about intentional friendships and looking for red, yellow, and green flags. This is a time between general friendship and dating somebody. This is a time that's going to help you decide whether you want to marry someone. You're more than just friends and you haven't started dating yet, but you're looking for somebody who could be a potential mate. And so it could go either way as the friendship develops. So let's suppose you made it through the intentional friendships. You checked all the flags, and mostly green and a few yellow, hopefully no red flags at this point. And you're ready to move on to the next stage, which is intentional dating. So in this episode, I will be looking at what dating is not, because we live in a culture that seems to be so confused when it comes to dating because of the false impressions that are propagated by Hollywood and the media. And in the next episode, I'll be talking about what dating is. So in chapter 11 of the book, Intentional Relationships, they talk about what healthy dating looks like and what unhealthy dating looks like as the relationship develops. So I will be talking about a few aspects of what dating is not. Number one, dating is not a time to start a dating relationship in hopes that you become friends. So you should have already been friends first before you decide to start dating. Going back to the intentional friendship model and getting to know somebody before you become emotionally invested. So do not become psychologically, emotionally attached to someone you do not know enough about. Number two, dating is not having someone in your life so you don't have to be alone. Loneliness should not be the driving force to enter into a relationship. Yes, we all desire companionship and we're designed to have relationships, and God put men and women together. So that's, part of God's plan. But if you are looking to another person, another human being to fill that void, you're going to come up short. You're going to end up disappointed. And sooner or later, they're going to let you down because they are human. So you need to first figure out who you are in yourself, because being in a relationship is not going to take away that loneliness. There are a lot of people in relationships, probably married, who are still lonely. So you want to make sure that you are approaching this dating relationship with the right mindset. All right, number three, dating is not about blind trust. You can't just assume that this person will work out and not do the work and not ask questions and not do your research and dig in and have deep conversations. And you want to keep your eyes open. You want to be receptive to what you are hearing and seeing, and so that way you can make right decisions. So you don't jump to conclusions and just make assumptions. Blind trust, I think, only works in fairy tales, but in reality, it's bad advice. Number four, dating is not building physical intimacy prematurely. There is a time and space for that, and it's not during the dating, because once you throw in the physical intimacy, that changes the dynamics of the relationship. Chemically, what's going on in your brain, you're under a drug-induced state once you become physical, and it's harder to notice red flags or to notice that maybe the relationship is not going to work out if you are physically intimate. So save that for marriage. Now is a time to just build emotional and relational intimacy with that person and not physical. Number five, dating is not having poor boundaries, going with physical intimacy, but also boundaries in other areas. It could be time boundaries, money boundaries. So you're not yet married to this person. You still need to establish, have set boundaries. It wouldn't be wise to lend them thousands of dollars or have them consume every minute of your life. You still have things going on in your life. You're not bound to this person just yet. So make sure you keep those boundaries solid, and that's going to help the relationship grow. Number six, dating is not ignoring red flags. So at this point, you should have addressed the red flags once you're in the dating phase, intentional dating phase. But if you haven't, you still need to address them. Don't ignore them and just, sweep them under the rug because you don't want to end the relationship, or you're afraid that the relationship might end and you will be alone. So talk about those red flags, bring them up if the other person is not budging, willing to change, or admitting their mistakes and things like that. That could be a telltale sign that it probably is not going to work out. Number seven, dating is not expecting perfection. You're not perfect. You're not dating a perfect person. Okay, so there's this mindset that people expect to marry or date a 10 when they themselves are a 6. Don't expect something out of someone that you're not willing to do yourself. And perfection is one of those things. Nobody will ever nobody's perfect except for Jesus. So he's the only one that can fill every void. And if you're looking to somebody to meet that need, you're going to end up disappointed. So come to terms with it sooner rather than later, because that will save you a whole lot of heartache. Number 8, dating is not living in the moment with no foresight and no plans for the future and just going with the flow. Now, I do understand it. Yes, you want to have fun because you're building a life with somebody, but you also want to plan ahead and not just live on a whim. Take care that you are also guarding yourself and making plans for the future. Number 9, dating is not the time to be keeping secrets, holding back from sharing important aspects of your life. So this could potentially result in engagement and marriage. So there are some things, conversations that do need to be had. You're past the friendship phase, so you trust this person and they probably need to know some things about you, and you can't be holding secrets, because once those come out, that could result in mistrust down the road, and that could shake the other person's confidence and things like that. So talk about it now in this stage, and don't wait until the last minute when it comes out, because it's never pretty. Number 10, dating is not about avoiding conflict for the sake of keeping peace. Conflict is inevitable. Sooner or later, you're going to have a little tiff with a person you're dating, and you cannot sweep things under the rug. You cannot not express yourself for the sake of the other person's emotions. If you feel like they're not going to be able to handle what you have to say, if they're going to fly off the handle, get angry, or they might, become emotionally manipulative, and you just want to keep the peace, that's a red flag in itself. And that could be a telltale sign that you're probably not ready to enter into a more serious relationship. But you need to address conflict, because once you get married, it's not something that's going to happen automatic. You don't go from not resolving conflict while you're dating to all of a sudden being able to resolve every conflict. So you have to learn how to resolve conflict one at a time, and you will talk about things and go through things together and grow. Okay. Number 11, dating is not isolating yourself with somebody at the expense of other relationships. So your friends are still important, family is still important. The person you're dating is not the center of your life, or they shouldn't be the center of your life. And if they are, that could be a warning sign that something is off. So you still want to maintain other relationships, because you're going to have those relationships in the future. What if you do get married, and there's still going to be your family, your friends. Don't isolate yourself. And if you're dating somebody who is forcing you to isolate from your friends and family, that's a red flag. You don't want to be careful with that, and make sure that you are still maintaining healthy relationships all around. And lastly, dating is not a placeholder to spend your time with someone until someone better comes along. So let's get rid of this grass is greener on the other side mentality. The grass is greener where it is watered. I don't know who said it, somebody did, but basically water your own grass and it will grow. Let's stop looking. Once you have made up your mind, this is the person I want to invest in, stop looking around for other options. There shouldn't be a plan B, C, or D. Okay, so you need to invest in your relationship, grow in that relationship, and so that both of you can reap the benefits of it. So those are just a few aspects of what dating isn't. And I'm sure there's more that could be said. If you have any others that could be added, I would love to hear them. You can send me a message via email at thewaitingroom@gmail.com, or you can leave me a message on my website, or follow me on Instagram and message me there. If you have any other tips for dating, definitely share those. So the thing about dating is you still want to be open. It's not a guarantee that you're gonna be engaged to this person and marry them, and you could end up ending the relationship. So one scripture that comes to mind is in Proverbs. It says, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. Basically, guard your heart. Everything you do flows from it. So if you protect your heart, and if you are wise, and if you also protect the heart of the other person, and if you love them and you want to protect them, that will help the relationship. But you want to be honest with yourself and with the situation that you're in. If it's working out, great, be honest, move on, progress, don't waste time. If it's not working out, once again, be honest and end the relationship so you can move on, heal, move on, and go on and do greater things. I came across a question years ago, and it stuck with me. Basically, it asked, would you date you? And many times we're so focused on what the other person has to offer, and we have a checklist. They have to be A, B, and C, and have to meet all of these requirements, and we are not focused on how we are growing or who we are and what we have to offer. And so it is our responsibility to grow and change, and then in the process I feel like you will attract a like-minded person, somebody you'll be equally yoked with. And if you are working on growing and changing, sometimes there's a season to not be dating, and you can work on yourself, whether it's getting out of debt or just working on mental growth, physical, spiritual growth, things like that, until you're ready to have somebody in your life you're willing to share your life with. So that's just, one of those things that I always kind of ask myself, would I date me? If not, why not? If I would, why? So I definitely encourage you to pick up the book Intentional Relationships for Singles, written by Dan Hoke and Chris Riatocho. The link is in the description. And I recommend it to singles, to couples that are dating or in the in-between stage, intentional friendship, engaged couples, even newlyweds. Newly married, you might not have had the right foundation as far as dating, so this could help you as conversations that you can have in this early stage of your relationship. All right, so I definitely encourage you to take a look at your life. You know what season you're in, and just grow personally, grow spiritually, emotionally, and in time you will attract the right person, and God will bring the person that's meant for you. You'll be equally yoked. Somebody once said, once you meet that person that you end up marrying, you will understand why all the other relationships didn't work. Okay, so just trust in God's timing during this season. And that is it for today's episode. Thank you for joining me here in the waiting room. Tune back in on my next episode, where I'll be talking about what dating is. In the meantime, I need your help getting this podcast to as many listeners as possible. So please share this podcast with a friend. If you are on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review or share it with anyone you think would like to listen as well. I'd love to hear your feedback on this topic. Once again, you can email me or message me on Instagram or my website. The links are in the description. Until then, take care.